Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. It's great to see everybody. Let me just add this comment on Instagram. Thank you for everybody for joining on Zoom, on Instagram, for sending in your messages already, putting them in the chat. Amazing. Please continue to do that. Put the questions in the chat, or if you're on Zoom and you'd like to come live and ask me, then you can stick your virtual hand up as well, and I can grab you and bring you on. But it's lovely to see everybody. Hope you've all had an amazing weekend. Of course, over the weekends, Bitcoin making its next move, hitting the new all-time high, $60,000. Absolutely amazing to see. Today, having a little pullback. I think we're off about 10% or so, maybe a bit more from the high. Absolutely nothing to be concerned about. I'm sure if you are on social media, you'll be reading various people who are maybe spreading fear. It always happens every step of the way. I believe what caused the sell-off is that there was a large amount of Ethereum moved from one wallet to another, and then it all escalated from there. And I think people are realizing that that Ethereum wasn't even moved to sell it. It was just a bit of a either somebody maybe acting a bit maliciously to make it seem like there was going to be a large amount of Ethereum moved, or maybe just some sort of wallet transfer. But you see, that's the sort of thing which worries the market. But it's only worrying for certain people in the very short term. It has absolutely no bearing on the cycle and what we're aiming towards. There was the news as well about India banning crypto, but you hear that from India every month. Honestly, that's been ongoing for years and years and years, and they keep going back and forth on it. And that's because they have some politicians who are perhaps not acting in the country's best interest. Obviously, why would you deny your citizens access to the best performing asset of all time? But then as well, they also realize that there's absolutely nothing they can do about it anyway, even if they do start to create some regulations. So they've been back and forth on it. You'll always hear about India banning crypto. Absolutely nothing, all nothing. Everything looks great, looks really good. We are exactly where we expected to be and more. I released a video earlier today, which I would highly recommend that everybody watches if you haven't had a chance to already, where we're laying out the roadmap for the next phase up to mid-April. And that's using the data from the past cycle and where we're at now to place a target on where we're aiming towards next. And that came out at $96,000 by mid-April. Just a target. We're not doing that so that we look to take profits at 96,000 and buy in again. We're not. Well, I'm certainly not suggesting anybody do that. Anybody trade the market like that. You don't need to. Bitcoin is going to at least $296,000 in my opinion, and probably a lot more. So do you need to try and overtrade and get another 10-20%? No, it's not worth the risk. Definitely check out the video. Of course, check out the course if you haven't already. That is the most important. Everybody should have watched it by now. If not, then it's on go to my Instagram and check out the links. It's the top link. So I've had a few questions sent in just before. I'll just cover those while you're continuing to place questions in the chat, and then we'll rattle through them. We may be able to keep this a bit short. These have been going on, about an hour. I feel like we may be able to keep them a bit shorter as we're all getting up to speed, and I'm really noticing everybody is becoming really, really focused on on the strategy, which is amazing, and not getting worried and making mistakes. So very impressed with everybody. So I had a question here from Natalia. I'm managing to budget and save a little, and I'm just wondering whether, if I believe in Bitcoin long term. Sorry, let me just break this to a question down. What she's asking is, should she keep investing right up to the cycle peak in August or September, which I think is a great question. She's obviously investing small amounts every week or every month. That's a fantastic strategy. That's a dollar cost average strategy. And if you do that for the long term, you'll be very, very, very successful. So if you are doing that, if you say, for example, you're taking part of your paycheck every month and investing it into Bitcoin, then know that's a great strategy. Just know that you are looking long term. So you would be doing that for 4, 8, 10 years, forever, really. No reason to ever stop. And know that you're going to be riding the cycles. So you're going to see it go up significantly towards the peak in September, and then it's going to crash 80%. And if you are dollar cost averaging, then you want to be continuing to invest even through the peak and even through the trough, and recognize that the value of your portfolio is going to really swing as it reaches the peak, and then you're going to see it fall off a cliff. But you're investing monthly, and when you get to 2025, when Bitcoin is probably going to be worth somewhere around $7 million per Bitcoin, then you've been investing monthly for a long time, and you will be very, very wealthy. So that's a dollar cost average strategy. Just know what you're getting yourself in for if you're doing that. And it's great. Anybody that's been doing that for a long time, like a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists, are now financially secure and then some. So that's a great strategy. The alternative strategy is what I teach in the course, because we understand the cycle. Exactly what we've talked about is playing out in front of our eyes. So we look to front load our investments, which means hopefully we're already in, fully positioned as much as possible, because we've got in as early as possible for this cycle. We're watching the price go up for this cycle. We'll take some profits near the cycle peak, and then we'll look to reaccumulate about a year later towards the bottom. And that is the second strategy. Both strategies are amazing. If you follow one of those and you do it well, the second one is what I lay out on the course. So just watch the course and do it. Dollar cost averaging is simple. You just make sure you follow through with it. Both are great strategies. Just know which one you're doing. Very, very important. Okay. Joanna. The question was, where is it? Am I going to hold everything beyond the peak? So obviously very much related to what was just asked. And that is the second strategy. Where is it? And on the second strategy, let me just mute everybody. And on the second strategy, then we do look for a take profit strategy around the cycle peak. We have various indicators that we're looking at. That's all laid out in the course. And we're doing that because we are this group, and I have my community and teachers to thank for this. This group has a really good understanding of the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. And don't think that just because we understand it, that everybody understands it. They really don't. And some people might say that they have different philosophies and models, but our strategy is playing out exactly as we've laid out to this point. And I fully expect that we will succeed in what we've laid out. It's what's happened in the past. It's math. And all of our data points are indicating that we're right on track, if not even exceeding our expectations. So that allows us, if we follow through on it, to sell some profits and then start reaccumulating, because we know where the cycle peak is going to be. which is like 12 to 18 months. Sorry, the cycle bottom. So we're looking at end of 2022-ish for the bottom. So if Bitcoin heads up to 300,000, let's say, 80% crash, then we're down at $60,000. So that'll be our bottom, about where we are now, right? They are very rough numbers, which we'll continue to refine as we move forward. So we can start accumulating back in at $60,000. And then we're looking to the 2025 peak, which, based on some very high level numbers that I ran, I got to $6.9 million per Bitcoin. And that aligns actually with the stock to flow model as well, which you probably, some of you will be aware of. And Fabian, my opinion on why Chainlink is underperforming so far for the last 2 months compared to Bitcoin, and small alts like VeChain and Hathor are pumping. Bitcoin 36 to 56 and Chainlink 20 to 27. It's a good question. So Chainlink is certainly one of my favorites, and I know one of the favorites of a lot of people on here. Might be a bit dark. I might just try to put the light. That's better. So, good question. Depending on your time frame, yes. I mean, in the example you've laid out, Chainlink 20 to 27, that is so that's 7 into 20. I can't do the maths, but that's like a 35% return. Somebody might correct me on that. So Chainlink is going up, and Chainlink is actually one of the best performing cryptos over 12 to 18 months, outperforming Bitcoin, Ethereum. There's only a couple that is not outperforming over that time frame. So it's very, very successful over 12 to 18 months and any longer time frame. But you're talking about the last 2 months, and you're right. Chainlink and Ethereum are lagging a lot of the other cryptos. What are the reasons for that? Well, the best reason that I've seen, that I've seen is that, or a theory really, because we can't prove it beyond the shadow of a doubt, but we know there are a lot of institutions, of course, that are buying Bitcoin, but they're now looking to buy other cryptocurrencies. And Ethereum is a big one because of the Grayscale Ethereum Trust. And Grayscale have they've registered the Chainlink Trust. They've also registered a few other trusts as well. And one theory out there is that these big institutions, it won't just be Grayscale, there'll be others. Chainlink is prime for institutional investment, given its use case and how widely adopted it already is. Big institutions are accumulating Chainlink and Ethereum and potentially a few others. And they have an incentive at the moment to try and keep the price down a bit. And you do see in the Chainlink and Ethereum charts that every time they get a bit of forward momentum, then they seem to get bashed down a bit. Anybody that's been following closely, and it can be a bit frustrating. But what looks like is happening is that the prices are being suppressed a little bit. And it makes sense to me that the only reason why that would happen is that there are some big players that are trying to accumulate, and they are slightly manipulating the market. But that can't happen forever. Anything which is suppressed has to be released at some point. And if that theory is correct, then that is just going to prove to be rocket fuel for Ethereum and Chainlink when they get going. And Ethereum and Chainlink are in many, many ways, in my opinion, but in many ways, the absolute best altcoins in terms of their team, technology, adoption. So do you want to be invested in the best altcoins that are currently quite cheap? Or do you want to chase the smaller altcoins that are pumping? It's a personal choice, and there's no right or wrong answer. And I remain a huge fan and very loyal to Ethereum and Chainlink. I do believe that before the end of this cycle, they will explode. Does it happen tomorrow or in a month or in 3 months? I'm not sure. But I don't believe that they can be held down much longer. If Grayscale come out and actually announce their Chainlink Trust, that will be absolute rocket fuel. So personal choice, you may choose to reallocate for a period of time and watch them, or you may say, look, you know, they're actually the cheap ones. There are a lot of these others that have gone up 10 times, 15 times. You know, at what point do they become too expensive? So it's not easy. And I've always said that if you choose to invest in altcoins, it's really, really hard. It's easy to do Bitcoin. And that's why it should be the biggest allocation in everybody's portfolio. You get into Bitcoin early and you hold it, and it's the absolute, it's the king, the daddy. And you don't let go until you have to. With the altcoin, if you choose to get into it, it's a lot more nuanced. And these are the types of issues or opportunities that you come up against. My personal recommendation is, as I've always said, is you go after the high quality projects. And certainly Ethereum and Chainlink would be in that bucket. Chainlink announcing new partnerships on a daily basis. Ethereum about to solve their scaling issues, at least somewhat. Go listen to the interview with Vitalik on Tim Ferriss if you're into Ethereum. So I remain a big fan of both, and I expect them to both really start ripping at some point. Obviously, I can't tell you when that's going to be. I wish I could. Right, I'm going to head over to Zoom, see what we've got. Bitcoin Learner, how sure are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that cycles will last till at least August 31st? I wouldn't put it that way. Don't put it on a spectrum of confidence level, because if I did, it could only be 10. I would just refer to the history of this channel, or me. It can sound a bit egotistical, being right so far, and I've been 100% right so far. I lean on my community and my mentor, which is Conquer Trading and Investing. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Jordan is an incredible teacher, and I lean on him and layer on my own work and perspective. And that combination so far has proved to be absolutely 100% right to this moment. If that starts to change, I will be honest and let you know, and you'll see it, right? It'll be very clear. But to this point, we've absolutely nailed it. So therefore, that's all we need to know. The strategy is playing out as expected. Everything that's laid out in the 2021 Bitcoin playbook is playing out as expected. If that changes, you'll be the first to know. Question 2, when will altcoin season finish? If the Bitcoin cycle will finish at the end of August? We can't say for sure it'll be the end of August. We have a range at the moment, August to October, and I will refine that over the next few months as we get more data. And look at 2017, the altcoin season finished a couple of weeks after. I think Bitcoin was mid-December, towards the end of December, and then the altcoins ran until mid-January. And we use that as our base case, and I would expect something similar to happen. And what happens is, you know, Bitcoin gets overheated, as everybody FOMO's in, that's when we get our spike. I was looking at the cycle repeat graph earlier, and the cycle repeat graph thinks that we're going to $650,000. But what would happen under that, if we followed the last cycle, is about 1 month before the cycle peak, we're at about $200,000. And then that 200 to 650 happens in a month, right? So that the last phase of the cycle is the blow off top. That's when the price goes parabolic. And then there'll be profit taking on Bitcoin, and some of those profits will go into the altcoin market. And that's when altcoins have their blow off top. What is your view on VeChain and Zilliqa? I know very little about both projects, so I can't comment. Zilliqa, I know nothing about. VeChain, I looked into it briefly, and I read some, because VeChain has been around for a while, I believe in the last cycle as well. And you may correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's looking into it, but I think VeChain had some big issues in the last cycle with hacks and some management issues. So I saw some red flags and I stayed away. I never went deep on it. Zara. I'm going to trade today or tomorrow. Any advice in terms of market movements expected this week? You don't try and time the market. We're not traders. You're not a trader. I think you're just getting started. You're certainly not a trader. So the strategy is buy and hold as early as possible. So however quickly the funds are in your account, then you should be buying Bitcoin. Full stop. You keep it really, really simple. Do not try and time any peaks and any troughs. If you buy and it goes down 30% the next day, so be it. You have to keep it simple. We're looking towards September. And Emma, I think that's the same. You're confused about when next to buy Bitcoin. Now, today. Keep it simple. David, when selling and not wishing to withdraw from the crypto world to manage capital gains tax, where is the best place to store wealth? Good question. There's a section in the course around cash out strategies where I go through that. So do definitely check that out. And I talk about choosing to leave crypto world or not stay in crypto world. So come back into fiat or stay in crypto. If you stay in crypto, you can choose to move into stable coins, which are coins backed 1-to-1 by the dollar. That would be USDT, USDC, or DAI. Your other options, if you stay in crypto world, are to invest in crypto-backed, asset-backed cryptos. And particularly what I mean by there is gold and silver backed cryptos. Pax Gold is the most utilized, and that is gold, obviously. And I was looking at another one the other day. What was it called? Kinesis or something like that. I will be posting about it. But there is a company that does crypto-backed gold and crypto-backed silver. Now I was looking at that as research because I will be releasing more content in this area as we move towards the peak, because it's going to be a very common question. So they're your options. The good thing, just going back to stable coins as well, if you go into stable coins, you'll also be able to stake them or lend them on various platforms like Binance or BlockFi or similar. So you could go into USDT, which is basically dollars, and then you can earn, I think it's somewhere between 6 to 8% on that through the course of the correction, let's say a year. So be protecting yourself against inflation to an extent. Inflation is probably 15%, but at least you won't be fully exposed to inflation. And then you can use that to start accumulating in again. Of course, the other option is to just reverse the way you went in and go back into fiat and your bank account. Check out the section in the course, and I will be doing more content on it. Are you able to share your own decision making for how you are personally going to hodl after the big peak and in future years? Yeah, well, I've been talking about it a lot. I think when we execute a cash out strategy, I recommend keeping at least 10% in Bitcoin. And the reason for that is you're protecting yourself against the situation or the likelihood of Bitcoin reaching some sort of escape velocity. What does that mean? That means the model breaks and we have no crash. Why would that happen? That's when Bitcoin escape velocity means that essentially we just start heading towards a global reserve currency in double quick time. Adoption increases at such a rate, every company is getting in, a central bank starts getting in. Switzerland are known for printing fiat and buying stocks. Do they start printing fiat and buying Bitcoin? Potentially. So probably the likelihood of that is like 2 to 3%. But if you keep 10% in and then Bitcoin explodes up to 2 million without crashing, then at least you're protected against that. And then with the remainder, it's about looking to reaccumulate towards the cycle bottom. The stock to flow model is really, really good for that, because you see the color scheme, and I think it's, what is the bottom? The bottom is green, I think. I could be wrong. We know exactly how many months after the peak and before the halving the bottom is going to be, approximately. So we start dollar cost averaging in around that time, and then we're getting a really good price. It'll be like buying in at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 last time. So you'd be in a very, very strong position if you manage to do that with where we're at now. Can I share the YouTube link for today's video? Yes, I will. It's on my YouTube channel. I'll go and grab it in a second for sure. Joshua, have you considered the changes in fundamental analysis from this cycle to others? For example, more institutions are buying and more positive and negative news coverage. It's a great question. And yes, certainly considered that. But I would push back on you and ask you if it truly is different to last time. Everybody always wants to say it's different. Of course, there's more institutions buying this time, but last time it was high net worth individuals. This time the price is at $60,000. Last time the price was at $1,000. So this is all relative. Yes, loads of institutions are buying Bitcoin, but that's why the last cycle peak was at $20,000. And this time we're already at 60 and we're probably going to 300. This is how the cycles work. And you're saying more positive and negative news coverage. Well, I can tell you for sure that's not the case. Every cycle has its own positive and negative news coverage. It's almost, in a way, built into the model. The Bitcoin model is a pure supply and demand model. That is the halving. It happens every 4 years. Every 4 years, the supply cuts in half and there's a supply shock, and it leads us from the halving towards the cycle peak. And every cycle increases exponentially in terms of liquidity, market cap, and price. And this cycle, the pattern, just look at the halving tracker, which I often share, or the stock to flow model. The price action is very, very, very similar to the last cycle. The only thing is we're going up slightly quicker this time. So maybe that's your question. We're going up slightly quicker this time. And I would put that purely not on supply and demand or stock to flow or news coverage or anything like that. I would put that purely on the shoulders of the Federal Reserve and central banks around the world who are printing infinite amounts of money. That is the fundamental difference to the last cycle. And that is more similar to the cycle before that peaked in 2013, because there was a lot of quantitative easing in 2013. And now there's even more in 2021, and there was a bit less in 2017. And that's the reason why we're going up a bit quicker. But the pattern of the price action is almost identical. Even the dips are happening at very, very similar times. So in my opinion, that just means that we are, we're repeating the last cycle with a bit of extra juice. And that's why the cycle repeat graph is showing $644,000. Joshua, what you will see is that as we start moving towards the cycle peak and we take out 100,000, 200,000, you're going to see everybody on social media, on YouTube, your mates saying that this time is different and that Bitcoin's going to 1 million. And I don't believe that will be the case. Everybody will start saying it's different. All the institutions are in. And that will lead us towards the cycle peak, because that will be the FOMO. That will be everybody throwing their towel in, people that said they were never going to invest in Bitcoin. Game theory on companies, they're all piling in. Everybody will start believing the hype or over believing the hype. And then as let's say we get, I think we're going to way overshoot 300,000. Let's say we get to 400,000. Everybody will then be shocked at what happens next. And they shouldn't be, because it's just history. The market will get overheated. It will crash. There'll be panic selling. It will go down 50%. It will recover a bit, and everybody will go, oh, phew, it's not happening. And then it'll happen. And then we'll go down 80%. It's market behaviors. It's happened every cycle, but it also happens across asset classes. When assets enter a bubble, everybody wants to believe that gravity doesn't exist. And of course, there are some people that will say that Bitcoin's in a bubble now. They're wrong. It's not. But it will be at some point. It will enter the bubble of all bubbles, I believe. And then it will crash, and that's what happens. And then we start again. Good thing is we're going to be shown. The market's going to show us, and I can't wait to see what happens. But let's enjoy the journey. Emma, what does fully positioned mean? The amount that you want to invest in Bitcoin or crypto already being in place. So not looking to time the market, not looking to buy the dip, just having whatever allocation that you want to have into crypto in place so that you are benefiting from what's happening, which is the new all-time highs and the price about to explode higher. Just put in the link to today's YouTube video in the comments. Oh, that went direct. Make sure you subscribe as well, and then you'll see them as they come out. I'll just flip to Sammy because I saw you with your hand up before I continue working my way through. Let me unmute you.
Okay, great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, so I put it in the chat, but I'll just read it. Is there a case to be made for reaccumulation by selling at the peak around September and buying at the 50% dip just after, in case we don't get that 80% drop 12 to 15 months later? Of course, it's very likely that we will get that drop, but maybe to hedge our risk, perhaps that could be an approach. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. The way I look at this is, the way the cycle plays out after the crash, whether we go down 50%, 80%, whatever that number is, that bear market is a bear market. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So the crash will happen. What happens is we crash 50, 60%, it recovers, and then it crashes again. That happens really, really quickly. And then we go very, very sideways for quite a while, sideways and down a bit. And then as people start to get really exhausted by it, and then they think it's the bottom, then it actually dips again. So it goes from like 60% to 80%. That's the way it's played out before. That's, as I talk about, that's how market dynamics generally play out across asset classes, not just Bitcoin. Check out, what is it? Is it Wall Street? I can't remember what it's called, but there's this typical market dynamic where you have the accumulation, the blow off top, the correction. Generally, that's what you see across asset classes. So whether we go down 50, 60, 70, 80%, I'm looking more at that moment or that bear market in totality. So we don't actually, it makes it simple. We don't need to worry about how much it's going down. We're going to worry about timing. Bitcoin works around the halving. The next halving is in 2024. The bear market finishes about a year before that. This is where the stock to flow model comes in really handy. So we'll be looking for that period of time, which I believe is going to be around the end of 2022-ish, no matter what percentage it's down, to start dollar cost averaging, probably for a year to 18 months. And that, for me, based on everything that I've researched, all the numbers that I've run, is the optimum way to make sure that you maximize your returns across a cycle. Retain a bit in Bitcoin in case the model breaks completely to the upside. And I guess there's a third scenario, if we have an initial crash of 50% or so, like you said, and then imagine if the price just pops straight back up and continues going upwards. Well, then we got it wrong. And then that's like another form of escape velocity. The market tried to crash and it wasn't allowed. There was too much buying the dip and it continues to go up. Well, then you can just reposition and maybe dollar cost average on the way up at that point. That's the least likely scenario. But of course, this work never ends. We continue to monitor the data and the market. We have a clear most likely scenario, which is what has happened in the past. And everyone will try and say it's going to be different this time. They always say that. Every step of the way, somebody's saying that something's changed. Michael Saylor is saying that it's changed. because he's saying something about Godzilla has entered the market and basically destroying all the models. Yeah, watch Conquer Trading Investing today, live stream today. Very, very good. He breaks down Michael Saylor's interview and makes it clear that basically Michael Saylor is hyping at the moment. He's got no evidence that that's the case, because even though he's bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, we're still following the same price action as the last cycle. So there's actually no evidence of Godzilla breaking the model. There's only evidence that we're heading back up to another cycle peak, which is exactly what we expected. And the proof will be in the pudding. And I'm almost certain, we can never say anything with 100% certainty. I'm almost certain we'll see a normal cycle play out. Will it change in the future? Yeah, of course. We can't, models are there ultimately to be broken, right? But we're so early. Bitcoin's only worth $1 trillion. That's tiny. Financial markets are multi-quadrillion dollar markets. Bitcoin is a drop in the ocean. There will be a time when Bitcoin has swallowed everything up. And at that point, volatility will be down. And that will mean that the cycle peak won't play out exactly as it has before. Of course, in the year 2140, there's no halvings. So the model is made to be broken. We won't be alive by then. But we're only on the third cycle. So at the moment, you know, Bitcoin is pre-programmed money and it's playing out like a mathematical formula. And until that breaks, we continue to follow it. Alex, I watched your video on how you got to 296. You took the low of the last cycle. Yeah. How can we use that again to show this cycle will behave differently to the last? Similar question, you know, surely this cycle will be different to the last ones. Well, you know, I've been putting this work out there for a year and it's proved to be correct so far. So I would focus much, much less. This seems to be a you know, probably some good advice for a lot of people. I would focus much, much less on trying to find reasons why this time is going to be different, and focus more on the data that we have available to us, because every single data point is being really, really clear. Everything is super, super clear. And, you know, you can choose to get distracted by Tesla and MicroStrategy on the upside, or you can choose to get distracted by regulation and China on the downside. All noise, in my opinion, because we have clear signal. Clear signal is what's happening right in front of our faces. I said at $8,000, $7,000 that Bitcoin was about to explode, and now we're sat here at $60,000. Right, and that's I'm not special. It's just data. It's there. We're following the last cycle, and it's happening. It's happening right before our eyes. If anything changes, I will be the first to be putting out content saying, "Hey guys, you need to be aware of this. It's changed." But there is absolutely no indication of that at the moment. Is it a good idea to take profit in form of a stable coin rather than fiat currency? Personal preference. You may need fiat currency for life stuff. Unless you want to buy Tesla, you could buy on Bitcoin. So it depends completely on a personal situation. If you're choosing, if your crypto investments or your Bitcoin investments, you're looking to maximize this cycle into the next cycle up to 2025, I see no reason why you would go back into fiat if that's what you're looking to achieve. We know that fiat currency has been devalued by 15% a year. And we know that there's no interest available in the bank. So I see the only reason to go into fiat is if you need to purchase things that you can only pay for in fiat. But even then, now, for example, Travala, you can book all of your holidays in crypto. So don't watch the cash out section of the course, and we will continue over the summer to discuss it and put together different options and content. Emma, would you recommend still having at least 50% of your Bitcoin investment, in Bitcoin? Yes, I would. Always 51% plus would be my recommendation. Jake, any Ethereum prediction? Yeah, I made an Ethereum prediction of $14,000 in one of my videos, and I still think we will hit that, especially with what I'm seeing coming down the pipe. The thing that, as we talked about institutional buying, the other thing holding Ethereum back has been gas fees. That's why a lot of people have been investing in Cardano and Binance and Polkadot. And there are some big upgrades coming over the next few months with Ethereum and layer 2 solutions, which will be used to support Ethereum. And I think Ethereum is really going to probably lead the market soon and perform really, really well. Like I said with Bitcoin, you know, when we talk about predictions, the biggest movements happen right at the end. So if I think Ethereum's heading to $14,000, you know, you might look at it at 2,000 now and go, well, that's way off. Well, you know, it may only be at 5,000 1 month before the peak, and then it spikes up into 14,000. That's the sort of movements that you're going to see. Eleven Black, what are your thoughts on NFTs? NFTs are very exciting. I'm sure a lot of people saw the Beeple sale. He sold his digital art for $69 million last week, which was the third highest sale of any living artist ever. And of course, the other two are physical, and this was digital. So that's obviously the very top end and shows you how dynamic the space is. NFTs are going to evolve. We're very much at the early stage. People are being creative, they're breaking things, figuring out how and where this can apply in the world. And we're just getting started. NBA Top Shots is one of the biggest platforms where you buy footage of NBA moments. So I'm sure you're going to see that in many areas. And you can invest in the actual pieces of art or IP. I don't do that, but I have some favorite infrastructure tokens. So Rarible is one of the big ones. That's where the likes of Gary Vee and Mark Cuban are selling some of their NFTs. So, you know, it's very much the mainstream platform. Whale, I really like, which is less well-known, less mainstream, but has been performing really well. It's got a great platform. TVK is based on Polkadot and has just been listed on Binance. That ticks a lot of my boxes and has performed great in the past week. So there's some ideas. Emma, I've bought Bitcoin on eToro, but I don't know if I've actually bought the Bitcoin. That'll be easiest if you send me a screenshot, DM me and I'll have a look for you. eToro, yeah, I believe there's two ways to buy Bitcoin on eToro, and one is buying the Bitcoin and one is buying a CFD, which is not buying the Bitcoin. So you do need to be careful. I don't recommend eToro. for that reason, and because it's expensive to buy on eToro. Emma, where do you find Conquer trading and investing? I'll link to it. Cal, thank you for joining. Have a lovely evening. Emma, what do you anticipate that we can buy in the future with Bitcoin? That's a great question because it's very easy to answer. I believe you'll be able to buy everything with Bitcoin. It's happening. Obviously, Tesla announcing that they're going to accept Bitcoin for cars. Many different solutions are in the market or coming to market where merchants and vendors can accept Bitcoin for everyday items. Talked about the likes of Travala, who are accepting all crypto essentially for holidays. I know there are quite a few holiday, hotel, airline type companies that accept crypto. And what happens with every bull market like we're in now is that there's a rush of innovation and investment. It happened last time, it's happening right now. And you'll see the consequences of that over the next few years. And one of the big consequences is going to be mainstream adoption of crypto payments. That's the next phase. So I believe that it will be everything. You will have your wallet on your phone and you'll tap it like you currently do with your contactless card in the very near future. And at that point, you know, the need for fiat almost disappears, isn't it? Zara. Yeah, DM me about that. It's probably easiest to talk about it that way. The second bit I'll answer. Just asking about whether Binance is going to be able to cope with the volume around the cycle peak. And that is something that you need to be aware of, because Binance, Coinbase, all the platforms tend to go down at the busiest times. There's nothing nefarious in that. There's just, it's an immature market and there's an extreme amount of volume that happens when, you know, when you go on, you've gone on for a reason, and there's millions of other people that have gone on for a reason. They're continually improving. Coinbase and Binance are getting really great. But of course, there's still some weaknesses. When I say that, I don't think security is a weakness, but downtime and struggling with volume, yeah, they do struggle with that. So that's why if you do a cash out strategy, it's going to be in chunks, not all at once. You don't try and pick the absolute top because it's impossible. And it can make sense to have multiple platforms as well. Maybe you want to have Coinbase and Binance set up. Maybe you want a third one if you want to completely minimize your risk. Tiago, when the time comes, do you think that getting a loan on your crypto instead of selling is a wise thing to do? I've been hearing people recommending this as an alternative to selling, since you get to keep your crypto. Yes, a lot of people are talking about it. So rather than sell around the peak, you hold and you take loans against your crypto. There are many platforms now where you can take loans against your crypto, including Binance, but also BlockFi, Celsius, and others. And the other benefit of doing that is you are not subject to capital gains tax because you never sold. So it's definitely a good option. And I believe a better option is to take some profits and reaccumulate, because we understand the cycle so well. And we're ahead of the market. We're ahead of most people, and we get to take advantage of that. But if you didn't want to go through the hassle and you didn't want to pay capital gains tax, then yeah, you just hold and take loans against your crypto. You must remember though that if you're taking loans against your crypto is going to go down 80%. So you need to make sure that you have enough collateral in there. If you took a loan around the peak and then your Bitcoin went down 80%, yeah, I don't know what would happen based on the terms of that loan. So it's not cut and dry. It's not that simple. You have to make sure that you can withstand that 80% correction, both mentally and if you're taking out a loan in terms of your collateral. Emma, do you think it will cause a divided society? Some will be paying with Bitcoin and others who won't. No, I mean the opposite. Fiat causes a divided society because central banks print infinite amounts of it, which increases the wealth divide and makes the very rich even richer and the poor poorer, and removes all kinds of opportunities. So it's fiat that causes a divided society. Bitcoin is the ultimate level playing field, and it's freedom of choice. If somebody doesn't want to own and pay in Bitcoin, then they have the choice to do so. Bitcoin will be one of the things that hold society together, in my opinion. Emma messaged me about the Coinbase issue separately. Joshua, would I be subject to capital gains tax if I exchange it for a stable coin? Yes, yeah. If you sell between different cryptocurrencies, then that is a taxable event. Just looking at the Instagram questions. Jamie, how did you calculate the peak of the cycle is around September of this year? Definitely go and watch the course. I break down the calculations step by step of how we got there. So I won't go into the detail. It's all in the course, but it is based on previous cycles around the halving event. What do you think about Dogecoin? Get this question every week, and I would recommend avoiding Dogecoin. You're taking a bet on Elon Musk's tweets. And for me, that's a bit too speculative when we have very, very meme coin, exactly. There's no fundamentals to Dogecoin. So it will probably pump loads and you'll wish you bought it. But, potentially then if you go in and buy it, it will be when it crashes 50%. And by the way, that crash in Dogecoin of 50%, I'm not talking about the cycle peak. It just crashes overnight because Elon Musk stopped tweeting about it, and everybody chose to dump it on those that bought recently. So it's pump and dump, and I don't recommend that anybody that follows me plays the pump and dump game. I recommend that we find good projects and hold them until the peak. Yeah, I saw that Elon Musk tweet. Doge spelled backwards is E-God. Also, I don't know who saw the announcement from Tesla today. Elon Musk has a bit of a battle with the SEC, the regulators in the US, and he doesn't give a shit about them. He changed his title in the official SEC filings, and the SEC had to release it as a press announcement that he changed his title to something like somebody will probably put it in the comments, but coin god or something. That's his new Tesla, Coin Master, something like that. That's his new Tesla title with regards to the SEC. He's just doing that to annoy the regulators, which is amazing. It's fantastic to see. Enjoy the entertainment. but don't get drawn into Dogecoin would be my recommendation. Have a look at what he's doing, not what he's saying. Tesla are not buying Dogecoin, obviously, they're buying Bitcoin. So just make that distinction. Stance, what are your thoughts on ETH and link suppression? I answered it right at the very beginning, so I'll upload this afterwards and you can go check it out. Kate, I only have half a Bitcoin. Should I sell at the peak and rebuy lower or hold on for dear life? Well, firstly, half a Bitcoin is amazing. So do not put yourself down. It's an incredible achievement. There's 21 million Bitcoin in the world and 7 billion people. So you have way more than your fair share right now. So you're doing fantastic. Well done. Don't put a crying emoji. And whether you sell and buy back lower is the strategies that we've been talking about. That's where you need to go and watch the course and decide what you need to do. You're holding throughout until 2025 or 2029, or you look to take some profits and rebuy lower around the end of 2022. Leo, which crypto company would you say is most likely to disrupt the art and in particular music in the short or long term? I looked at a few companies, Audius and Origin. You probably know more than I do, to be honest, Leo. So there's not much value I can add to that conversation. I'm not sure. I haven't seen a lot of music-based NFT hype yet, but I'm sure it's either there or it's coming very soon, given what's happening in digital art and sports. So I'm sure it's there, already to some extent. And you know, why would a band not choose to release some of their work or all of their work as NFTs, given where things are going? So it's going to happen. I don't know the ins and outs of the industry or which companies will disrupt, but once you've figured it out, let me know and then I'll let everyone else know. Shalinor, what are your thoughts on Decentraland? All I know about Decentraland is that my brother bought it, and he makes some good picks. So that's one positive. I haven't done my own research, so I can't speak to it. I believe that it's an NFT play as well, right? Something, it's like some game or Sim City type thing, and you buy virtual land as NFTs. I could be completely off there, but I believe it's something to do with that. And also that I saw it got listed on Binance as well. Some positives, but you got to do your own research. I can't speak on it very confidently. Favorite altcoins at the moment? So, you know, in terms of the mid-cap range, I'm loving Ocean. They've just got a great team and a great roadmap, been performing really, really well. Kusama has big news happening very, very soon in terms of their parachain launches. Go check it out if you're interested in the Polkadot ecosystem. Kusama has been one of my top picks for a while and is really starting to take off. And there's a lot more to go with Kusama. I actually did a video on the YouTube channel where I did a bit of a spotlight on Kusama. Definitely recommend checking that out. In terms of the smaller cap cryptos, I like the Polkadot ecosystem project because I understand it and I know that Polkadot is an incredible project. TVK and Fowler just got recently listed on Binance, two of my favorites. And also sign up to my Crypto Insiders list because we send out 2 videos a week on altcoins. So it sounds like that would be very interesting for you. Cherubella, thank you for the question. Hey, Joanna, nice to see you. Why is Bitcoin value so much higher than any other altcoin? Will any of the altcoins ever catch up to Bitcoin's price in the future? So Bitcoin is the original. Everything that we see in the crypto ecosystem has Bitcoin to thank. Bitcoin led the way in terms of cryptography. So other altcoins really standing on the shoulders of Bitcoin, even those that are building other blockchains. Will any altcoin ever surpass Bitcoin? It's a great question, because last cycle there was a lot of talk about the flippening, which was Ethereum becoming more valuable than Bitcoin, and it nearly happened. It got really, really close, and then the market crashed and Bitcoin outperforms everything in the bear market. I believe, I haven't run the numbers on it, but my gut tells me that around the cycle peak, we'll probably be talking about the flippening again. And does Ethereum pass Bitcoin this time? Who knows? And in the future, I expect that, and this is a very general thought, I expect that there will be many cryptos that pass the market cap of Bitcoin. I say many, not loads, like a couple, probably Ethereum, probably Chainlink, maybe a couple of others that we're not sure about. And that's because Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the absolute best currency and store of value that's ever existed, and will become the global reserve currency. The other, Ethereum and Chainlink, will run the will run the new crypto universe in terms of all of the applications, business applications, personal applications. Everything that's currently on the internet moves onto the blockchain, and companies like Ethereum, Chainlink, Graph become the key infrastructure of that new world. So they'll be hugely, hugely valuable. One or a few may end up having a bigger market cap than Bitcoin, but that is all very much still experimental technology. So that's why it's higher risk. And if you get it right, that's why it can be higher return. But Bitcoin is leading the way, and that's why it should be at least 51% of your portfolio, in my opinion. Because with the others, you can get it wrong. Like I said, Ethereum, Chainlink, Graph, yeah, maybe. But maybe they'll turn out to be like the MySpaces of the world, and then you get your Facebook and Instagram and Google that come along after, because they paved the way. So it's very highly risky environment in altcoin world. Broadwalk, when is the cycle finished? Definitely go and watch the course. I break down the cycle peak targets. We're looking August to October, and I will be refining that as we get closer to the peak. The other reason to sign up to the course is that I will be releasing new content for people that have signed up to the course, which will be really, really important content as we get closer to the peak. Edwards, obviously we're all fully positioned, yes. If you happened upon X thousand fiat right now, where would you put it? I can't tell you what to invest in, what to buy. I'm continually leaving tips on my videos or on these Ask Me Anythings. Bitcoin is obviously always prime candidate. If you're choosing to diversify from Bitcoin, I always talk about my favorites: Ethereum, Chainlink, Graph, Ocean, Polkadot, Kusama. Check out the YouTube channel. Sign up to the Crypto Insiders list, where I'm constantly doing research and releasing new recommendations. Nice to have you, Ian. Thank you for joining. I hope your journey is very, very successful. Once all the Bitcoin is in circulation, how will the miners be paid? Great question. It will flip more to transaction fees rather than being rewarded with new Bitcoin. There's already a slice of transaction fees, and that will probably go up at some point to start compensating for the lower Bitcoin rewards. Tiago, has your opinion changed on Cardano? Now, I've always hated Cardano. No, it hasn't. It hasn't, because I was waiting for the mainnet launch, which happened. That was what all the hype was about. That's what everybody was FOMOing in. And I was waiting to see what happened next. Are all these projects going to end up ditching Ethereum and Polkadot and going to build on Cardano? I haven't seen any of that whatsoever. And everybody knows I'm waiting for it. So if you see anything, then you send me it. I'm very open to changing my mind. But I go on reality. And if it does change, if developers start seeing Cardano as a better platform, then I will absolutely change my bearishness. But until that happens, it feels a bit like a cult following that's pumping the price up. And since the mainnet launch, it's not performed. So we need to see some news now, because that was all hype, and they did launch something. I'm not a developer techie, so I can't go in. I'm not going to go in and look at the code and what's happening. But the proof will be in the pudding about whether applications, because that's what it's all about. It's a layer one technology. It's to be built on top of. Now we need to see that happen. But what we are seeing is everybody's already on Ethereum. They're in some of the newer projects are choosing to build on Polkadot. Polkadot is interoperable with Ethereum. There is activity on Binance Smart Chain. I'm seeing that. Initially, I was bearish on Binance Smart Chain, but more bullish on that now. So I'm changing my opinion on that. But I'm not seeing any of that on Cardano. If it changes, then I'll change. I'm very, very open. Okay. Well, they were some amazing questions. I think that's probably the best session we've had in terms of quality of questions. So thank you for joining. Hope it was useful. And yeah, we'll be doing these every week. So Joy, if you haven't watched the course, go grab it, check it out. Like I said, then you'll be on my email list. So when I release new content, particularly in about a month, I'm going to do new price targets and cycle peak timing targets. So that'll be really, really important. So get on that list. So as soon as I've created that content, then you get it, because then we'll be using that, for our roadmap up to the cycle peak. So really, really important. But again, thank you for joining. Hope you have an amazing evening, and I'll talk to you next week. See you later.